Hi Gemini and Gemini Rising. This is your January 2017 forecast. So happy new year, and let's see what January has in store for you. This month you're going to have Venus and Mars together in your 10th house, which is a very favorable career placement. Venus tends to attract favorable circumstances towards you, things that help facilitate your work. So business and professional life very favorably indicated this month. It also inclines people in authority very favorably towards you. So you're able to ingratiate yourselves with those above you. You're also able to make a good impression and get along with other people and work harmoniously in your professional or career sphere. Mars here, of course, gives that drive, that push, that ambition. So you're really pushing hard to further career goals, objectives, and you're really wanting to be recognized for your unique talents and skills. So you'll be putting your energy into getting ahead, but luckily where Mars can sometimes cause ego conflicts in the office or in your professional life, Venus is really going to temper that, help you make a good impression, help soften the ambition so, your drives aren't alienating people around you. So for some of you, Mars and Venus together in the 10th house could show falling in love or a crush on somebody in authority or a mentor, somebody above your station. So perhaps some chemistry at the office too. The Sun is going to be in your 8th house until the 20th of January, and this is of course the house of joint or shared resources. It's our financial obligations. It's also the house of fears and anxieties of mind, and as a result, looking at these things can bring self-mastery. Especially with Mercury which is going to be in your 8th house until the end of the month. This is also a very good placement for therapeutic work, for modalities that help develop the self. Mercury in the 8th also excellent for developing anything that you want to take to teaching, publishing, or print. So proofreading, editing, getting your papers in order, getting it polished and perfect before a launch when the Sun goes into the 9th house. So with Mercury in the 8th retrograde until the 8th of January, you may find a lot of discussions around joint resources, properties, financial commitments. Also, in general, you'll find things that stimulate your mind, take you a little bit deeper and further, and which, as I said, can be very good for therapeutic modalities and self-work. So, deep thinking, intellectual encounters, introspection. So a little bit more introspection before the Sun goes into the 9th on the 20th of January, where you'll be wanting to broaden your horizons, possibly plan a vacation or a trip, take up a new course of study or a hobby for practical purposes or just for fun. And again, very good, the 9th is good for teaching, publishing, and promoting any ideas that you've been developing while the Sun was in the 8th house. So let's look at the other transits this month. On the 29th of December, we had a very practical new moon happening in Capricorn where the Sun and the Moon were conjuncting Mercury and sextiling Mars. So Capricorn, very material, earthy sign, so focused, practical. So with the conjunction to Mercury, this is where you want to take the initiative to get routine paperwork in order, gathering information. Mercury and the Moon can show, just deciding how you feel about things. The sextiles to Mars is, of course, that professional focus, where you're trying to further your career objectives and goals. So you're looking at practical ways to put your ideas together so that you can really kickstart those career objectives and get them off the ground. So very future thinking, gathering information, deciding how you feel about things. And for you, it's all going to be around career goals and looking at the resources that you have to back you and the support that you're getting from other people. So on the 1st of January, you've got Mars conjuncting Neptune in your 10th house, and this can show things getting a little bit off color or you feeling a little bit demoralized professionally. At this time, you'll also want to avoid Neptunian activities that aren't good for you, so avoid any excess in terms of inebriation, because you might feel a little bit weak and off color, perhaps from having done too much of the above. On the 3rd, we've got Mercury sextiling Venus in your 10th house. And this is very favorable for deep discussions and conversations. It's also good for just relaxing, for leisurely pursuits of the mind, reading, exploration, conversations, can take a very pleasant turn, and for you this can be around the office. So also very good just for soaking up the scenery and doing some, enjoyable Venusian things and having conversations. So on the 7th, we've got the Sun conjuncting Pluto in your 8th house. And this can really be kind of an intense aspect for you. It can really push issues of intimacy. You know, because it's a house of other people's resources, it can sometimes show a power struggle, especially with the Sun and Pluto together. Perhaps you're trying to dominate somebody or somebody's trying to dominate you. But other than that, it could just show delving deep, you know, doing some real soul searching and exploration. On the 10th of January, we've got the Sun squaring Uranus between your 8th and the 11th house. And this can show disruptions in your normal routine, and this could be around budgets or friends. You may also find some conflicts and disagreements with friends, particularly around budgets. And you may also be a little bit more accident prone. So this can affect you in your financial sector or with regards to friendships. So expect the unexpected. On the 11th, we've got the Sun squaring Jupiter between your 8th and your 5th house, and this is an energy that's going through to the full moon, which will be in your 2nd house. So where the focus was on joint resources and, you know, investment shared with other people, the 2nd house is about where you feel comfortable and secure. It's your finances. So you're looking, you know, towards you know, ways that are going to make you feel more secure and more comfortable. There's very favorable aspects between the Sun, Moon, and Jupiter. So this is all about a bit of generosity, about give and take, for sharing, intimacy, and comfort. So you will be feeling very open-hearted and generous and, you know, looking for ways to feel more comfortable, rooted, and secure. On the 19th, we've got a difficult aspect between Mars and Saturn, between your 10th and your 7th houses. So this can affect you professionally and in terms of your significant partnerships. With this transit, you can find your efforts being blocked by circumstances or other people, particularly close significant others or perhaps bosses, you know, and peers, you know, feeling a bit intimidated. Authority figures can also discourage you, and this is normally people that you respect. So with this one, you really want to keep your head down and do what you do slowly, carefully, and cautiously, and try not to get too noticed. On the 20th, we've got the Sun moving into your 9th house, and the 9th house is where we do things to broaden our horizons. It's where we're adventurous, we take a leap of faith. So this is where you look for meaning in your life. So ways to broaden your horizons could be taking a trip, like, you know, doing something cultural. You know, travel, of course, can really expand the mind, but also a very good time to take up a new study or hobby. And these things you can do for practical or pleasurable purposes. This is also a very good house for any kind of teaching, publishing, promoting that you need to do. So see how where you can make your life more meaningful and significant and broaden your horizons. On the 20th, we've got Venus sextiling Pluto between your 10th and your 8th house. So this, you know, is affecting you in terms of closeness and intimacy. Venus and Pluto together always deepen ties, strengthen ties, you know, take love connections deeper and further. So this can be good for that. And so fostering connections with someone close to you. It can also be good for just deepening good relations at the office, for feeling more kind of bonded to the group identity, as it were, professionally. And so good for professional and career relationships. It's all about relationships that make you feel supported and understood. So on the 23rd, we've got Mercury sextiling Neptune between your 8th and your 10th houses. And again, this stimulates the imagination. And so this can be conversations that, again, you know, help foster intimacy and closeness. But it's also very good for just dreamy, escapist activities, you know, escaping through movies, literature, art, and for having philosophical discussions. On the 27th, we've got Venus in hard aspect with Saturn between your 10th and your 7th house. So this is the house of close one-on-one relationships and career and reputation. So this could have you feeling cool and reserved to someone important in your life. It could be in a boss or an authority figure. When Venus and Saturn come together in hard aspect, you know, there's a cooling off of the emotions. There's a bit more of a cool appraisal. You know, you're kind of carefully and in a more calculated way considering give and take within relationships. Sometimes this one can have you feeling a little bit taken advantage of. But either way, just stepping back, appraising the situation, and actually perhaps keeping your opinions to yourself and seeing if it just blows over is the best advice with this one. So the new moon on the 28th is going to be in your 9th house in Aquarius. And this is going to be great, as I indicated, for growth, exploration, for anything that takes you beyond the mundane. So you really want to make an effort with this new moon energy, which runs for 2 weeks, to take up new projects and activities that expand the mind. So this could be a new course of study, plans to travel, or plans to teach, publish, or print something. So developing ideas further. It's also a good time to develop your philosophy of life, and see how you can better implement it in day-to-day affairs. So see how you can make your life more significant, more meaningful, and more interesting. Be a little bit adventurous. So on the 29th, we've got Mercury conjuncting Pluto in your 8th house, and this one's also really an excellent aspect for research, investigating, for getting to the bottom of things. As I said, the 8th house, because it deals with fears and anxieties of mind, where if we confront these things, we can develop self-mastery and greater knowledge about ourselves. So you'll want to use this aspect because it's going to help detach you from personal habits and things that perhaps are bothering you. It'll help you get to the bottom of those things. So you'll be able to make a shrewd analysis about what you want to keep in your life and what you want to let go of. So this can really deepen your understanding of any problems that you have. So on the 31st, Mercury squares Uranus. So this hard aspect can sometimes also be a bit accident prone. It can produce also mental stimulation and conversely a bit of nervous energy and feeling a bit scatterbrained. And again, that kind of haphazard, windy energy tends to make one a bit more accident prone, so you'll want to be a bit more careful at this time. So plans with friends and budgets could also, take a surprising twist or turn. So see how this pans out for you, but just be a little bit more cautious and careful. If you've enjoyed this forecast, please like and subscribe. Thanks so much for listening.